Now, last but not least, Trent is going to be returning for a second showcase. Trent presented back in Light 10 about a year ago, and I'm really excited to hear this one. This is Obsidian Canvas, your new office space. Trent, go ahead, start your timer. The floor is yours.
Today we're going to be looking at Obsidian Canvas, and I'll give you a little preview. This is my outline. I probably can't get to everything, but if we want any feedback, drop it in the chat and Keaton can relay to me some of these things that you want to see the most. I'm just going to do a quick overview of a few things, and you can go back and check them out in the recording for more detail. So first, we're going to look at how to use Obsidian Canvas in writing, and I do fiction and nonfiction, so we'll look at a fiction example first. So this is for a story I worked on and off on. I put a little bit out there, but most of it's still just in the vault. And you can kind of see I have a note for characters. I have potential titles when I was working through it. I made the cover for it because I do graphic design too, writing tests and stuff like that. Then you can come down and you can see I kind of set up a story arc. And then I have each of these are a note that links to a chapter. Sometimes it's just a little bit of high points. Sometimes I'll have actual writing and stuff on more of them. So I'll zoom out on that. And we can go back into that later. This is for nonfiction, which would be a little different. And this is one of my big efforts that I'm working on right now. You can see I've got something similar going on with setting it up in acts because it makes it easier to digest even nonfiction if we have like some kind of structure to frame it to. Kind of tried to figure out my style, my genre. I use a tool to help analyze my writing to try to figure out things. And this is some writing samples from me and then also an author I like. And then try to figure out in mapping how I can write more like that author, which things do I need to look at. I'm working on trying to write up a book proposal, and I'm using an example from somebody named Tiffany Hawk. So I've kind of broke out her steps and tracking through. Some of these are still question marks as I think on it. I write something out, I'll delete it, don't like it, go back in later. And so then it's kind of this workflow, but also this idea flow. And you can see I got one of her videos linked here. So book proposals, even if you aren't publishing traditionally, can still help you figure out like the value of your book. So it's a little bit of a mess when you zoom out, but it's for use in the zoomed in setting. So I kind of have it broke up like that. And then some of the steps I haven't finished yet, or everything's a work in progress. That's how my whole vault is. And I expect that's how most everybody's is until a project's actually finished. To get a quick look at a project task board, I have another effort I'm working on, and this one's for a game supplement. And it's kind of set up like a Kanban board, but a little more freedom on how I have stuff aligned. I have each creature for the book, and then each one needs like specific stuff, like needs a name, it needs a blurb or a slogan, it needs some lore description. I also do my own art, so it needs an art piece, it needs a stat block for the game, and then I want to write a quick overview of how to use it, and then an encounter guide for how the creature would play out in the game that a game master or dungeon master could use. This just kind of my quick little, I'm zoomed in a little bit, so I'm having to shift stuff a little bit, but these are just how I use the little icons to just kind of see at a glance the status of things. And I have it broke up into kind of parts for the project. So if we go back to here, then this is another way I've been playing around with Canvas, using it for like website mockups. And right now I'm building out a new website for myself. And I've been tweaking it in Obsidian Canvas to kind of play around with ideas that bring in pictures and stuff like that to kind of figure out how I want it to look. I have thrown my little color palette ideas up here, make images, and I'll bring them in. I've made mock-up icons and tweaked icons from different things. This was from a set I actually got as an asset pack, but that I recolored to match my theme. Same, these are Chrome buttons I made just because I kind of was looking, and then this would be how like I would explore comparing fonts that I might want to use on the website. So you can kind of see I have notes for everything. One of the things is I have like fonts because I do graphic design and web design. So it's useful for me to have a note like on specific fonts with examples. And then I can throw them on here. And then this is just like the text. And the theming is all from the theme that I built in Obsidian. But you can see like you can use it for mockups and stuff to get ideas, just have general brainstorming considerations and stuff like that. This is just the mock-up icons and stuff. I like having them thrown on here so that I don't have to go to the folder to look at them all, and I can just grab what I need without having to look through them. See, I'm at 6.5. All right. This is one project I'm working on is making a multi-purpose card deck. So this was comparing like tarot cards, which was kind of inspired by Karen Hume before, and then comparing them with a deck of cards in the game D&D called the Deck of Many Things, and then like mapping out how I would map some of them to each other, and then figuring out which ones were more unique. And that's part of a multi-purpose card deck project that I have kind of in the works. So you can use a canvas as like a comparison tool. You can also use it as a mood board. We'll go ahead and jump to that one real quick, and then I'll go back to workspaces to wrap up. So the other project I'm working on has kaijus in a game, which are just like giant monsters and giant creatures. So you could throw some pictures here just to kind of make a mood board. And then this is just kind of tracking the images and art I've done for the project over time. These are just a few creatures for it. And then like you can see, like I'll put in like my work in progress every so often just to kind of track where I'm at. I'll have sketches and stuff and then track through the art until I get to what I'm happy with, stuff like that. Sometimes I'll have a photo bash idea where like I'll go take photos and images from the internet and bash them, similar to kit bashing and when you make models or whatever, but just throw it in Photoshop and blend it together to give me the idea. And I don't necessarily trace that, but it gives me a theme. But you can see how this would be a useful mood board kind of tool. And I'll do a quick example of that here. So let's say I want to open this node up. I'll just open it up to the side. And I got a note on Godzilla because Godzilla is a famous kaiju. I like Godzilla, all that jazz. One cool thing you can do is if you have a picture over here in your note, you can grab it and just throw it on a canvas like this instead of having to search, especially if like you just have like random names for stuff sometimes. So like you can see, I just throw those there and then they go on my mood board for the canvas. So that's a fun little use case. This is more of a visual space, as I call it. I just kind of, Vic has his light map. This is kind of just like my vault map. It's a work in progress. Each of these are actually just different pictures overlaid. You can kind of see. And then I'll map to different things that I call conceptual spaces. I have a few seconds left. And just to show off a workspace, these are work in progresses where like I can just throw whatever. And I've been playing around with building out a kind of home note in a workspace. And I have a few different ideas for that. But I'm about out of time. And unless there's an exception made, I won't be able to really show off any sense making with that. But that's a thing you can do with what I call my desk. So that can wrap up. and I can go into more detail if Keaton wants, but otherwise I can take questions.
I think, first of all, a big round of applause to Trent for this really incredible deep dive into what's possible, really, what's with Canvas, with Obsidian, with the way that you've worked it for your use cases and your thinking, Trent. Knowing that you've been so prolific in Circle as well, just even with that first dabble with your personal island that you shared earlier, I'm hoping that you can share a little bit more later in Circle with some of that, if that's okay with you. I think that'd be really helpful. But we do have a couple of questions, so I think it'd be great to get to some of those now. Again, if anybody has one, they'd like to raise their hand, we certainly can take some of those. But just to get to one from Paul here, do you copy and paste an icon, or do you drag it into place? Do you have something else for taskboard?
When you mean icons, does he
Back
mean
in that
my
canvas, yep, it was your progress one where you had
right
the,
here?
yep, yep.
Um, oh, for the progress, the task
I
board.
think either one actually would be, yeah,
So
that one.
these are actually different. I
Mhm.
do copy paste these over as I update because there's a bug or a problem with the Emojipedia plugin that I use. So I can't actually type plugins here on a canvas, only in a note. So what I just go copy paste and like say I wrote this, then I would just do that. So I copy paste the icon over. They're just in headings so that they're nice and big.
Nice. That's great.
And for the mock-up icons, like uh, I would just I have the little box here. I would just Control C, Control V, and then move it where I want it.
Awesome. Boy, that's really easy. I really like how straightforward that is. We've got a question from Monica who asks, where do you put these image attachments? What is your process for adding an Obsidian? Do you have a quick path or anything?
Um, I mostly try to keep images in their own area, and I have to sort every so often. So I've modified the Ideaverse framework a bit because it was similar to what I already had. And you can see like it's not all the way sorted, but all attachments go in my Atlas utilities folder. And then I have those further sorted by specific things. Like as a graphic designer and artist, I have my own specific created folder for things because I want to keep my provenance and know when I can use stuff. And then I have a folder for images I've got from the internet and stuff so that I'm tracking stuff and things like that. So I don't know exactly how much detail you want on that, but for my images, either they get thrown in the utilities or into the images folder, or if I'm like heavily working on a specific project where I'm going stuff back and forth, I'll have my efforts and notes, and then I have a folder for the project name. So here you can see like I have some images for this very specific project because a lot of it is around making art for this project I'm working on. So I can click that. But this art is in the efforts folder for that specific project or effort.
That makes sense, especially within those projects. One last one from Solani, who Amy echoes as well. Could you show that desk one more time? Just with how do you use those sticky notes in it?
Okay, yeah. So we'll go through desk and I'm going to close this over. So this is the thing I've been playing with because I love sticky notes in real life. They do I have all kinds of stuff with sticky notes. That's kind of why my other one looked like sticky notes. But what I would do is like I have custom colors set on these, which is annoying to manually set. So what I do is I make a stack and then I'll go Control C, Control V, and then I'll basically just pull the sticky note off the stack. And then I'll go type in like what a note, like check check on, and then I might let's just say I needed to check on a specific day. Oh, I don't have one for that. There we go. Let's say I just needed to check on a specific day for some reason. I can just throw a sticky note. I call this the wall, and then I have a desktop down here. I don't use this as much as I could. I've been playing around with it and seeing how it feels, but I like this little section. This is a little widget, aka a note, and then I can just go through the notes I made today, and like I could grab this and go to my daily note or whatever. So it's just
That's
kind of like a workspace.
Yeah, I love it. This is really neat. And I love the visuals of the sticky notes too. It's something that I was kind of missing in Canvas before. And I love the way that you've sort of built a, made a tiny test of it and really put it into practice. Actually, one last question just from Ethan. What's your turtle's name, Trent?
Tumbles.
Tumbles?
Yeah, here.
Nice. And it's Tumble's second showcase presentation as well. So it's great. A big round of applause to Trent and honestly, all these showcase presenters for these incredible showcases today.